Hey, David! We're ranking the meta era games. You want to join?
Oh boy, do I!
Awesome! I know you won't have any opinions that could stir up controversy.
2 seconds later.
I think Forces is better than Colors.
Oh man, this off the good drugs.
Alright, I get it. Some may say that that's a little blasphemous, but I think that if you really dig deep down, there's something good about Forces, man. There really is. And I'm not saying that Forces is a good or great or even like an above average game by any means. But I think Forces is relatively inoffensive, and I think that it's not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. Please just hear me out. Let me start off with the fact that in a world where we get some very half-baked games and games that release in some unacceptable states, while Forces is technically half-baked, it's at least a polished game, you know? Like, when you get into the game and you play it, like, the controls are responsive and tight. While they might not be ideal for Sonic, they're not horrible. And when you, open up a level, there aren't going to be that many bugs. And you could say a lot of things like, well, that's because the game plays itself half the time, basically. But when you play those levels that require a little bit more input from the player, they still work well. And like I said, it's not perfect by any means, but especially given from what we had from Sonic with the decade leading up to Forces, it's polished. And when you do get to play it, it does play well. That being said, I do understand, and I also agree with a lot of the criticism with it being very automated a lot of the time and with the levels being super short. But what I'm about to say may be a little blasphemous. However, I would prefer the shorter automated levels that are actually fuller and more complete and more fun to play, in my opinion, than the 2D minute-long stages that you get in the later half of the worlds in Sonic Colors, if I'm being completely honest. Sonic Colors may have more creative art direction and level design when it comes to the aesthetics and some of the level gimmicks, but those level gimmicks really aren't that fun, if I'm being honest. And I think Force's highs are comparable to Colors' highs, and Force's lows are way better than Colors' lows. And within the 3, arguably 4 gameplay styles, the Avatar and Modern Sonic and the Tag Team stages are the best levels in the game, and I'm willing to overlook the kinda crappy Classic Sonic levels because of how fun the other levels are in the game. And Classic Sonic's levels aren't even all that bad. I think his level on the Death Egg was really fun. Also, I know the music can be a little hit or miss when it comes to this game in particular. However, I think that the Avatar has some really good level themes. I think Modern Sonic has some decent level themes. I'm not going to touch on Classic Sonic because I think in terms of the music, his portion of the game is pretty weak. I think some of the vocal tracks in this game are really good. And I think that, it's a Sonic game, so the music is going to be above average, like always. That's just kind of how it goes. But some of these tracks really do stand out as some of the best in the series. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I also do want to talk about the level design and how the potential for the skill ceiling really comes into play, because high level Forces gameplay actually looks really, really cool. And I think that the controls and the gameplay lend itself to mastering these like high level speedrun strats in a way that like I almost can't even like describe, and like just because I'm not good enough to do that, but I've seen high level forces play, and it's really cool to watch. And practicing, I don't have the time to practice to be a speedrunner, but like I don't know, sometimes I'll look at a trick and I'll be like, yeah, I can pull that off, and I'll try it, and it's like I genuinely enjoy myself when I play this game. When I sit down to play this game for like a full playthrough, it's really like not that bad. But like when I sit for a full playthrough of Sonic Colors, there are some levels where I'm like, ugh, it's this level. And I say that for like, multiple levels. For this game, I think I can maybe only say that about like 2 levels where I genuinely go, ugh, it's this level. And here's the thing, at the end of the day, I may just be talking out of my ass, to be honest. Like, I may have no legitimate objective reason to like this game more than Colors, or more than, like another game. But with enjoyment being so subjective, I think that, like, there is something to be found that is fun and enjoyable with every game, with the exception of Sonic Superstars. But for real though, like, I don't know, something about this game just feels so misunderstood. I really get it. It was a huge disappointment. It was a huge letdown. But I think it's really not as bad as people make it out to be. People sort of vilify this game. But this game gave us, like, some really great things. And, maybe they didn't pave the way for anything significant in the series, for the future to come. But you can't tell me that this is, like, an awful, awful game when we have games that released in way worse states. Like, I don't know, off the top of my head, games like Cyberpunk that released in like really shitty, awful states. Maybe that's like a really bad example. Like 06. 06 released in a broken mess of a state. But people still find some enjoyment in that game. So I think if we can like still find enjoyment in 06 despite the state that it dropped in, we can find enjoyment in this game. And here you're gonna see my multiple reattempts of this shadow level, because I'm horrible at 2D gameplay. I think that might be one of the reasons why I dunk on Colors so much, is because I suck at 2D, and I hate 2D for that reason. I'm really trying to push myself to finish, I finished Mania before, but I'm trying to push myself to finish it again. And I can't even finish Superstars because, that game has its own problems. Maybe I'll talk about it in a different video. But I'm really trying my best here. But I'm enjoying myself while I play this, no matter how many times I restart and, have to start from the beginning. And honestly, at least to get back from the point to where I died or where I messed up to, from the start is really not that bad because the levels are so short. Haha! Reeling back to, my original point about subjective fun and enjoyment being, in the eye of the beholder. Like, let's be real. My favorite Sonic game is Heroes, and I know that game gets dunked on a lot, so maybe I'm just a harbinger of unpopular opinions. I'm just a harbinger of hot takes. But I feel like I'm level-headed in the sense that, like, I can understand people having different favorite games and enjoying different games, except for Sonic Superstars. And I can see, like, the validity in people enjoying certain things. So I hope that, after hearing me talk about this game, and, like, I'm not even gushing about it that much, I'm just saying, like, maybe it's really not that bad. Maybe you'll give it another chance, or you'll look at it from less of a critical eye and more of the eye of a Sonic fan who just wants to, turn their brain off and play a game for a little bit, and something that just doesn't, play something that just doesn't suck. So, yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope that you love yourself endlessly.